Click record first, and then let me just share my screen with you. So can you see that?
Black box for me at the minute. Oh, but no, it's turned up now.
You got
Yeah,
it? Lovely. Okay.
yeah.
So this is about using social media and networking to find your next role. So as you both know, I help people who are looking for their next role, often as a result of redundancy, but anybody who's looking really. And remind me at the end, I'll put the link in the chat for the Career Boost platform, and you can both have access to that. So there's some videos there about how to make sure your CV's written well. Emma, you don't need to worry too much about that, but you can also access other videos that are on there, the live ones that I do as well. So this is about today is not about becoming an influencer. I have no idea about that at all, but it's about being findable and memorable when opportunities appear. So it's about that kind of networking thing, but it tends to be done online these days than anywhere else. So, right, okay. So I thought I'd start off with a reality check, which is never a good place to start, I don't think. I personally prefer fantasy. But many roles are actually never advertised, and the more difficult the job market is, the higher the number of roles are that are not advertised. And it can be as high as 80%. So it is
Wow.
really huge. And the reason for that is because a lot of people will know, or hiring managers will know, that if they put a job out there, they are going to be absolutely flooded with applications, and they have to have some way of managing those. So actually, they might sit with a vacancy for a while, or ask their network if they know of anybody that's going to be looking. So, um, it's just the way it is that jobs are not always advertised. And by having a good social media and networking strategy, it will put you in the running for more of these roles, which is ultimately what you want. You want a role where they're not looking at anybody else, they're just looking at you. So, the other thing is, we're all human beings. Your cat's back in.
I know, sorry.
It's okay. I've got two exactly the same actually downstairs. Um, but referrals and informal conversations carry more weight in cautious markets. Who do you know who would be really good at and having those conversations? And by using social media effectively, what you're doing is showcasing that you have those skills that perhaps that they're looking for. Um, and then it's true, hirers will check LinkedIn first. So even if they have advertised, you've applied formally via a different platform, if you've seen it on a job board or wherever, hiring managers will look on LinkedIn to find out a little bit more about you first. So social media doesn't replace applying for jobs at all, but it definitely supports it. And what you need to be doing is not selling yourself as such, but you're signaling to people that you are capable, you are available, and your intent as well. That you are out there and you are looking for something. And it's about letting the right people know what you are good at and what you're looking for as well. So where should you be focusing your time? So the number one thing, and it's a non-negotiable really, is LinkedIn. Um, and then you might want to look at another platform as well. So I would perhaps recommend Facebook. Facebook's quite good for groups. So search for a group. The ones which are pretty particularly good are things like, a particular job type. So, for example, an accountancy group, if that's the sort of thing that you were looking for. The others that are quite good are there are some groups around local jobs. So you want to join those jobs and then start to post information that is relevant. In terms of things that you've got. What I would say is one platform done consistently beats five platforms where you're sort of getting ignored. So, what sort of things should you be posting? So, a couple of weeks ago, I did one. I can't remember whether you were there, Emma, but there was I did one of these presentations on how to get your LinkedIn profile looked at by recruiters,
Yeah,
and you watch that one. So,
yeah,
I'll put as I say, the link for Career Boost. If you go in there and you go for live presentations, you can watch that video, and I definitely recommend doing that in terms of, kind of what sort of things you should be doing. And then, what you really want to show is what you're good at. What can you do? What skills are people would they have if they engaged with you? What problems do you solve? And ultimately what you're looking for. So, and in terms of ideas for content, you're exploring new opportunities. So, for example, if you're looking at an industry you've not particularly worked before, you might want to talk about some of your transferable skills with that. You might want to look at lessons that you've learned from previous roles, and perhaps make a small post around that. ChatGPT is excellent for starting off posts. If you want to, think, well, actually, this would be quite good, but I'm not sure on the wording. Is put something in there and get them to create a 200-word post for you and then tweak it so it works for you. You can post things about industry insights. It's about showing people that you are knowledgeable and that you are somebody who is worth looking at for future positions. And the other thing is, if you have an interview or you've had a conversation with somebody, post something, sort of a gratitude post around that. So, and then you also want to be doing networking that works. So, who should you be linking in with on LinkedIn? Now, because I run a recruitment business and an outsourcing business, I tend to link in with everybody. So that's not necessarily the best strategy to have, but you want to think about people like former colleagues, maybe an ex-manager. Oh, hang on, Jackie's just arrived. Let me just admit her. Hello, Jackie. So ex-managers, they're great in terms of being able to, it's a case of, well, talking to them and reminding them that you are around and that you're out there. Maybe some clients or suppliers that you've worked with, um, or people already doing the job that you want. And I think that that's really good, because if you know somebody or you can find somebody who's doing a job similar to what you want, and you engage with them, it's quite flattering. It's I really like your job. I'm really interested in getting into that area. But you'll find out much more from that sort of conversation than you will do by any other way, really. And then in terms of kind of the sort of things that you want to talk about is when you connect with somebody, what's the context? How do you know that person? So, I don't know if you remember me. We worked together 5 years ago, and I thought it would be great to connect, that sort of thing. Um, Talk about why you're reaching out. So what I would say is, and this is here with a low pressure ask, is, you can say that don't ever ask anybody to find you a job. I think that's the kind of the key message. But you can ask things like, I'm really interested in your company. They've been posting quite a lot recently. Who would I contact about a position in? And they can only say no, so it's definitely worth having that conversation, and asking that. And what you're after, if you think about it, is you're after information, not favors. It's quite a good way of sort of approaching this. So, and then of course, the likes of me, the hiring managers and recruiters are on LinkedIn. So, you want to engage with those. So first of all, you need to make the connection with them. I don't know whether you've experienced this, but the worst thing is somebody connects with you and then immediately tries to sell you something. And that's not the best way to go about doing it. So, connect with people and then start to comment on their posts. Share relevant insights. If they've posted something, perhaps put your point of view on it or agree with them. A key thing with LinkedIn is you want to make sure that your kind of response is at least 6 words long, which sounds, oh, of course, I can talk for England, 6 words isn't long, but actually the standard posts of that's really insightful or thanks for that all fit under that period of time. So you just want to make it a bit longer than that. And you can send short personalized messages to people as well. things that you don't want to do with hiring managers or recruiters, and I must get this at least 5 times a week, is people sending me their CV with no context at all, saying, please keep on file. I have no reason to do that. It's not something I'm going to engage with, or start a message with any jobs going or anything similar. So I'm aware this sounds quite weighty, and I really don't think it should be. This is not a full-time job to do this. It's a support system for your job search. So I would spend about 10 minutes engaging with around 5 posts. That's really good because LinkedIn likes that and then will post anything that you put to more people. It gives you more of a reach. So that's quite a good starting point. Spend 15 minutes reaching out to a couple of people, 15 minutes writing perhaps a short post. As I say, I would, you don't necessarily need to put all the words down, and then maybe 5 minutes updating your profile. So you're looking at about 45 minutes a week. And I would try and be quite disciplined about that because, the black hole that is social media can be so attractive and so much of a time waste. So to have a real plan in terms of that, I think is really good. In reality, you may experience rejection, people don't want to connect or give you any information, or silence. But social media and networking this way, it compounds over time. So what you're doing is you're building familiarity and trust. Most people don't get jobs from one post. They get jobs because people have remembered them, and you've built that know, like, and trust piece. So, do spend some time engaging with people in the niche area that you're interested in. So I'm aware that for some people, the whole idea of kind of networking is just horrible. So I've thought, you know what? I'm going to challenge you to do one action today, whether that's updating your LinkedIn headline, messaging one former colleague, or comment thoughtfully on one post. Start little. It doesn't need to be all guns blazing. So I hope you found that useful. I do these on a 12-week rotating basis. I didn't do one last week because we were having massive internet problems here. So what I've done, that would have next week would be a drop-in clinic, but actually it's going to be on interview questions. So that is about the sort of questions that you may be asked at interview and how to best respond to those. So I'll just stop sharing that. So have you got, hang on, how do I stop? There we go.